Kia ora koutou whānau, welcome back to another edition of Big Hairy News. Kia ora, Big Hairy Chewy. How the heck are you doing, sir?
Kia ora. I feel like I'm about to slip into a coma.
Oh, how come?
Because I've had an antihistamine and it's definitely not a non-drowsy one.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Or sleepy bobos.
I've just realised as well we haven't tested our audio today. I hope we will be all right. Shall I do that now? Shall I do the geeky thing now? Or shall I just trust? I'll just trust. Hey?
No, let's trust. Let's have a fig leaf of professionalism.
Ha 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 ha! Professionalism. Kia ora, JK. G'day there, Brent. We are looking forward to hanging out with you guys for this evening. I probably can't see it if I lift up the microphone. It's my Matariki hoodie on. This is my Matariki hoodie. See this? This is the stars. This is Pallades, isn't it? It's Subaru Pallades. My Matariki top on for tomorrow. Hopefully, some people are doing some good things for tomorrow. Also, want to say for you guys who are just joining us. And let me just get straight to, not that this is necessarily a pitch, it kind of is a pitch, but you all know about the merch that we've got going on at the moment. And thanks to Claire, who purchased a t-shirt just before we started up today. Not going to play the music for you because it was just before the thing, but thank you anyway. And if you're someone who's maybe a bit tighter on the old cash, you can't afford it, we get that, we understand that. Something you can do tonight, if you want to, and I'm just putting it into all of the chats right now, is come and join us for a chat on Discord. Anyone tonight who joins us for a chat on Discord will go into the draw for a t-shirt of your choice from this week's merch, this month's merch, sorry. So that's basically either the left votes, the left wins t-shirt, or a Christopher Luxon, not a businessman, just a board member t-shirt, and you can have him in black or white or that kind of sky blue that you can see there in the hoodie. So if you're watching right now and you'd like to participate with in a chat with me and Chewy, assuming all the technical side of it works, then if you head to Discord, and over on Discord, if you head into the waiting room at some stage through the night, what we'll do is we'll do our stories, and then at the end of the stories we'll say, right, if anyone wants to have a chat now is the time, or we're wrapping up the show. So if you want to jump on Discord, you can. The Discord link is in the chat. It's in the chat both on I'm having a look at it now, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, and it's on Twitch as well. And hang out in Discord for a while, and when it comes time to come and have a chat with us, if anybody wants to, and I'm not silly enough to think that definitely everyone will, we'll see. Anyone who does chat to us on the show, and that doesn't mean chat to us text-wise, but comes and chats to us, will possibly win themselves some BHN merch. You get to pick one of those t-shirts from tonight. If you don't want to do that, or you don't want to head on Discord, you can just head to bighnshop.nz and look at all the gear we've got going there. Remember, it's closing on the 20th, which is 1 week from now. So next Thursday night at midnight, all these designs will go away, never to be seen again. So another way you can guarantee you get it is head to bhnshop.nz and purchase one. That's what I was about to say, nice. Chewy. Matariki for you tomorrow, Chewy. Anything going on?
I am going to take little dog for some sort of forest walk somewhere I haven't been before. Haven't made up my mind where that is yet, but that is the plan for tomorrow.
Do me a favour. Can you remove that from the screen? My mouse is just, the battery's just gone on my mouse, so I can't actually do anything. But could you can take that down from your end?
There we go.
There we go. Then we can just chat. So this will be fun if this doesn't work, does it? Getting all the clips up for tonight. So for a walk somewhere, like what will you do? Will you kind of drive distance, or will you find like Pineapple Track or somewhere around Dunedin and do that? What's the plan?
Yeah, like I've walked quite a bit around Ross Creek, but if we go at Pineapple Track or something like that might be nice.
Yeah.
Maybe Flagstaff if I can rope my mate into it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're off tomorrow. You got a day off from your real life.
It is my usual day off, to be fair. But
Friday, Saturday. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is my usual day off. But sort of focused to get out of the house and do something I wouldn't do ordinarily under my own steam.
Oh, very cool. Yep, very, very nice. Waipoti Falls. Whereabouts is that? I'm not sure where Waipoti Falls is. Says Peter in the chat. Not sure. Also, let's say right now, a big thanks to all our patrons. I want to also point out Pat Sellers. I want to acknowledge Pat Sellers tonight and our patrons. Pat was a $15 patron. He was a patron. I don't know why I called it the level of patron, but I did. And he has chosen in the last 24 hours to up to a super patron. So thank you, Pat, for joining us on board. Thank you for being with us for a good period of time, but then also just deciding that you want to increase your patronage. And if you are wanting to be a part of our patron family, patreon.com/Big Hairy News. So we've got a lot going on. We've got merch. We've got patrons. We're kind of a bit patronizing. My name's Pat. It's all
coming together. There's a theme.
So later on this evening, we'll give you a chance to chat on Discord if you'd like to, and a chance to win a t-shirt. And also, we'd like to know what you're doing in the chat for Matariki, if anything, through the night. We'll start some of those. I can just see JB's done one there. I'll just mark that for a bit later on, Chewy. And what the actual, what it's all about for you. I love New Zealand holidays. For a long time, I sort of ran a Waitangi Day barbecue. The Waitangi Day barbecue was something that I used to do on Facebook, and actually used to get, when I was working in radio, I used to do it personally and got prizes and did giveaways and sort of challenged everyone that was our public holiday. It was like, whether people like it or not, whether you want to play the stupid, it's not my national holiday or not, it is actually the only one we've got. Now we've got Matariki as well. And Matariki is actually technically our only New Zealand holiday, New Zealand sort of original holiday. Waitangi Day obviously is to do with the signing of the treaty between two countries, but Matariki is sort of all ours. So I'm big into doing something to acknowledge it. Whatever that something is, something.
All right. I noticed that there's a few comments from my suggestion yesterday about contacting the Prime Minister and expressing disappointment.
Oh yeah, do tell.
Arrest JK emailed. I obviously did as well. Simon says that he's raised it with his local Labour Party rep. So yeah, I mean, I had someone comment. It was like, "Oh, do you really expect them to read it?" And it's like, well, there's zero chance of them reading it if you don't send it.
And that's a little bit like, I mean, really, does my one vote really matter? You could take that line as well. But yeah, it does. So do it. It's a bit blurry for me, bro. You'll have to read it. Yeah,
that's very, very blurry. This is my one. I'm writing this email to express dismay and disillusionment at yesterday's announcement about ruling out any capital gains or wealth tax. It's exactly the time to bring them in. So many challenges in the immediate and the near future that we need to bring all options to bear. Both measures are powerful counters to inflation, which is at the heart of our cost of living struggles we all face now. You've done the work to identify those not pulling their fair share of tax obligations. The polls suggest more than half the country would be supportive of it, and your support parties have also done some great work on policy to support this. To turn away now, so close to the election, to solve nothing, to offer nothing, in order to appease who exactly? Labour is nominally a party for the workers, and you're ignoring what workers need in fear of some sort of backlash from who? The media? I expected more, and this stumble in the final stretch will see my vote going to Greens. Regards, etc., etc.
It's a good letter. Sorry, excuse me. I was listening. I'll put you into the speaker, so if I'm a little bit echoey for a couple of minutes, I apologise. But my mouse has actually just gone, so I've just had to go and get new batteries. Lucky I like to have a big stock of batteries all over the place. It was. I heard Chris Trotter do some commentary today, and this is just. Yeah, I just still find it cowardly and stupid. I mostly find it stupid. It doesn't make any logical sense because like I showed yesterday, and like we already know, that this is policy that when I say all New Zealanders, the majority of New Zealanders want, not just Labour voters, but the majority of New Zealanders want this. And Chris Trotter made an interesting point, sort of about the reaching across the aisle, and his point was there is no longer a centre. It's like we've got this. There we go. Mouse is back. We've got this we've got this political world now where there isn't really not a centre. I'm not saying it's all extreme left and extreme right, but it's sort of centre left, centre right, and out. There's no longer a centre. So in this current climate, making sort of whatever sort of gestures to try and hit people in the middle is never going to get you elected. And it's sort of, I don't know whether it's a gesture or it's a fear or whatever. But yeah, I didn't manage the time to put the clip up. I wanted to put it up today, but I'll put it up tomorrow. And my clip is basically going to say Labour's just lost the election. If they haven't lost the election, they've certainly lost enough support that they've handed a whole bunch of power to the Greens and the Māori Party. You know, because even if the numbers on the left stay the same and the left still win, they'll have given up, enough percentage points to make the other two parties more powerful. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, making the other two parties more powerful, but just no sense in this conversation, or no sense in the idea that they wouldn't do this, because it's not like we've been saying in this show for a very long time. If people haven't been with us before, when the National Party came out and said, that the Labour Party is not liked by CEOs, we were like, good. Like, because where we started was the party of the workers, Labour. That was where you were. So your response to that should have been, that's fine, Mr. Luxon. You can have the top 5%, the top 1%. You can have the CEOs. We'll have the factory floor workers. And they've never done that, and they haven't got back to that. And it's just ridiculous. And this is the perfect policy that would have been, more talking about what would help the worker as opposed to the CEO. And they just, I don't know why. I would love to understand. In fact, if we get a chance to talk to any of the leaders or any of the people up in the Labour Party, what the fuck? What are you actively wanting to shun your roots? And if you are, where are they going? Anyway.
I mean, I freely acknowledge that I'm definitely in a very, very much in a bubble. But certainly in my bubble, it is overwhelming dismay.
Yeah,
and just a real hardening of like, okay, well, I'm voting Green now. A good friend of mine who is left, but probably more towards the middle than me, who hates the Greens because he just doesn't like hippies. He messaged me and said, "Yeah, cool, not voting Labour.
Wow,
that's it."
Wow, I guess all I hope is from someone who sits on the left myself is the person like your friend doesn't then go not voting. Like the left needs to vote so the left can win. I hope that person finds another position on the left, which is obviously likely Greens, could be Māori Party, to then keep that vote in play to still have a chance for the left to win. But
I mean, all of this is anecdotal.
But Hipkins yesterday has somewhat, I wouldn't say he's completely cut the legs out from under it, but he's had a swing and he's damaged the legs that are holding up that possibility at the very least.
Certainly took Grant Robertson's legs out from under him.
Yeah, true. All right, hey, let's have a look at what's going on. Conversation I want to start with you tonight is a little bit about Tucker Carlson. Actually, there's this conversation about Tucker on Twitter. And we're finding out in the last 24 hours that Tucker Carlson's numbers are cratering on Twitter. Now, I know coming from people who get literally hundreds of views an episode, talking about millions of views is ridiculous. But compared to where he has been, and this is Matt Binder. Matt Binder, I think, works with Sam Cedar. Am I right with that? Part of the Sam Cedar crew, Emma Vigeland crew. And he has put out an announcement to the numbers. These are the video view stats, remembering that each video needs to be played at least for 2 seconds. Episode 1 was 27 million, episode 2 14 million, episode 3 22 million, episode 4 10 million, episode 5 6.5 million, episode 6 8.5 million, episode 7 5.5 million, episode 8 nearly 4 million. Matthew Gertz, who is a senior fellow at the MMFA, not the GOP congressman, find that person there. Anyway, he has also said views for Tucker Carlson on Twitter posts assume the number of people who actually viewed the videos is much lower. There's apparently a new algorithm that Elon has brought in, and if it scrolls through past you, it can get counted as a view. I think he did that just before Matt Walsh put up his documentary to get those 200 million views. But look, I'm not being bitter. I will still say no matter what, you will see... they're still big numbers. Like even if 120 million for Tucker was only 20 million people watching, that's still, the biggest CNN show has 1 million. So it's still humongous. But the point I guess that these guys are making is look what's happening to the numbers. This is from Matt Gertz, 120 million episode 1, 60 million, so in half episode 2. After Trump was indicted, it jumped up to 104 million. Then it went down to 32 million, 17 million, up to 32 million, down to 15 million, down to 8.6 million. So it's currently sitting around 4 to 5% of its opening episode. Say 5% would be a good, and there is the Tucker Carlson Twitter views, the trend on Twitter. So I don't know. I'm not going to read too much into the idea of Elon Musk and Carlson, but maybe hitching his boat to Elon might not have been a good thing in the long run. And it also means maybe, and this is not necessarily my original thought, I was thinking this, but I've heard others say it, in case you've seen, like, people are talking about Kyle Kalinske. I didn't see what Kyle Kalinske said today, but I have seen what others have said. And others are also saying that maybe this just shows the strength of that time slot on Fox News as opposed to the strength of Tucker Carlson. I remember when Paul Holmes went to Prime TV. Paul Holmes was the biggest thing in New Zealand television and radio, and he went to Prime TV for $1 million, and his numbers cratered. And it was because he was the biggest thing on New Zealand TV, because 7 p.m. on TV1 was the biggest thing on New Zealand TV. And that's why. Not to take anything away from Paul Holmes, he was an absolute legend, without question, but the time slot was the thing that gave him the numbers more so than he himself, which was proven when he went to Prime. And maybe what this is showing is the time slot, I think it's 8 p.m. on Fox, is more so the star of this episode than perhaps Tucker Carlson was. When Bill O'Reilly left, they thought this is the end of it. Tucker Carlson got bigger numbers. Whoever's going to be the next person in there, don't know, they may not get bigger numbers than Tucker Carlson, but they'll get plenty good numbers because, old people don't know how to change their skyboxes. Like, that's literally a part of it. They don't know how to change the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, all I can say is it's delicious to see. You hate it. Hate to see it, right?
Oh, it's terrible. I hate to see it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm real sorry for the guy.
Hint of sarcasm there, Chewy, just quietly.
Oh, just a smooch. And I know people have had problems with our sarcasm on Twitter today, but yes, that is sarcasm. I wish Tucker Carlson to kindly remove himself and add himself to the sea.
It is funny, not a bit of attention. You're talking about sarcasm on Twitter today. The tweet that I put up yesterday that we were talking about with that road sign, it is hilarious to see the number of people who are calling me racist and saying that old white stale men, having problems with us. They can't see. And then what's even funnier is the people responding to those people going, how stupid you must be not to see that this is irony here. But yeah, sarcasm and irony. It's very, very funny. Very, very funny. There's more on Tucker Carlson. I've got actually 2 other stories to tie into him today because it hasn't been necessarily a good day for Tucker Carlson. Here's the next one. Ray Epps sues Fox News for Capitol riot conspiracy claim. How's this for a convergence of absolute revolting people? So Ray Epps was one of the guys who was at the January 6th insurrection. One of the bad guys, to be honest. But Fox News and other sources have been claiming that he is like a plant. He is one of these. He's FBI, and and so what he's doing is he's now suing Fox News for the claims they made about him to do with him being basically a psyop. A former US
There's always a false flag.
A former US Marine who became the focus of right-wing conspiracies surrounding the Capitol riot is suing Fox News for defamation. The legal action accuses Fox of telling a, quote, fantastical story, end quote, suggesting Ray Epps was a federal agent to make him a scapegoat for the raid on Congress. Mr. Epps was filmed encouraging people to enter the Capitol complex in January 2021, but he was not charged. The lawsuit filed in court in Delaware on Wednesday does not specify damages. It also names Tucker Carlson, who was taken off air by the network earlier this year. Mr. Epps' lawyer says the client and his wife had to close their wedding venue business in Arizona and move to a small motorhome in Utah because of the threats and harassment they endured as a result of the conspiracy theories. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. In a statement, Mr. Epps' lawyer, Michael Teta, said the lawsuit, quote, marks another moment of accountability. For years, Fox News and Mr. Carlson created and amplified conspiracy theories about Ray that lacked any foundation in fact, Mr. Teta said. They have endured significant emotional and psychological harm from the attacks, the attorney added. It is the latest legal action against Fox News, which settled a lawsuit by voting machine company Dominion for $787 million. In April, Fox also faced a $2.7 billion defamation lawsuit filed by another election technology company, Smartmatic, which accuses the channel of broadcasting lies that decimated its business. Carl Tobias, a law professor at University of Richmond in Virginia, told the BBC the volume of evidence that emerged during the Dominion case was vastly larger than what has so far appeared in Mr. Epps' lawsuit. But the allegations in the complaint, if proved, might expose Tucker Carlson and Fox to some liability, Mr. Tobias added. He also said the difficult part for Mr. Epps will be to prove that someone there was actual malice in the reporting, and that they were engaged in serious misconduct and neglecting to do what should have been done by way of fact checking. So not so good day again for Mr. Carlson and for Fox News, Chewy.
It's really upsetting that when you do it just even a little bit of an insurrection, that there are in fact consequences. I mean, I'd be personally thankful that you didn't end up in jail, that you're just in a trailer in the desert somewhere, like with all the other crazy people. They could build a community.
Yes.
You've been zapped to the nether realm again.
Yes, I have. I'm still here, but I'm not sure what's happening with my camera. It did this last night as well, so I can't actually touch or control everything, Chewy. So maybe there's some chats you could get to while I'm doing this.
Yeah, Arrest JK says, when you're shocked that the leopard face eaters eat your face.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. I'm always stunned with this from the insurrectionists, is that they're kind of like, oh no, like it was just a prank, bro. I didn't expect to lose my job or have federal law enforcement come after me. All I did was kick in the doors of the Capitol and just roam around like a nut bar for a while.
And threaten to kill Mike Pence.
Surely that's covered under my First Amendment rights, is it not?
Yeah. Let's have a look at one more thing with Tucker Carlson, just because we're going balls deep in Tucker today, which kind of sounds wrong when I say it.
Don't like that phrase.
Not at all. So Oliver Darcy is a
bad.
senior media reporter at CNN. Tucker Carlson on his latest show had a chat with Andrew Tate. Oliver Darcy on Threads, this is the first time we referenced Threads on the show, has released a conversation he had with Tucker Carlson. So here's what Tucker Carlson told Oliver Darcy when I asked him about his softball interview with Andrew Tate. Tucker and Tate, Twitter vlogger, that's what he calls him now, a Twitter vlogger, that's hilarious. Tucker Carlson is standing by his decision to lie about the charges that fellow right-wing extremist vlogger Andrew Tate faces in Romania during the latest episode of his show to Tuesday. Carlson interviewed Tate at length. The episode is 2.5 hours, allowing the misogynist online personality to brazenly mislead his audience about the crimes he is accused of. At one point during the chat, Carlson went as far as to declare that Tate was, quote, not accused of a sex crime, end quote, and, quote, not actually accused of rape, end quote. But that's simply not true. Tate has been indicted on human trafficking and rape charges by authorities in Romania. When I pointed this out to Carlson via text on Tuesday evening, so text means a direct phone number, that's how I would read that. He didn't say tweet, he said text. So he's texting Tucker Carlson. Yeah. When I pointed this out to Carlson via text on Tuesday evening, the former Fox News host asked me if I'd ever seen the charges and knew who Tate was accused of raping. Okay, so Tate's been accused of rape, and Tucker Carlson's gone, well, have you seen the charges and do you know who he raped? That's the response. But there's more though, Chewy. I told him I'd seen the press release announcing the charges, to which Carlson claimed that I had, quote, zero facts, end quote, and added, quote, a Romanian press release is enough for you? That's journalism? You can just picture that face, that Tucker Carlson face, that side tilty, squinty thing. It's worth noting here that Carlson has made wild assertions based on far flimsier material. I asked Carlson whether he seriously believed it was journalistically wise to ignore what authorities are publicly saying, to which Carlson answered, quote, if you think a government press release is all you need for a story, you ought to be in another business, end quote. I told Carlson I believe everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but that it was strange that he did not push back against Tate. Why not note what the authorities have publicly said? Carlson replied, I don't take anyone's word for anything, but accusing someone of a sex crime without naming the supposed victim is libel and it's immoral. But you don't care because you dislike his politics. You are not a journalist. You're a liar.
What the hell?
You're not my friend. So, according to Tucker Carlson, accusing someone of a sex crime without naming the supposed victim is libel, and it's immoral. So, therefore, right? Let's just get this straight. A father who commits a pedophilic act on his child, you have to release the name of the father and the child, or else, because that's a sex act. It's the worst sex act, but it's a sex act, or else Tucker Carlson's saying that's libel and it's immoral. What is he smoking?
Yeah, just bizarre. Like, yeah, I'm not surprised Tucker's unhinged. But yeah, I've always thought that there's, much like our own local version, I always thought that there was a persona and then there was the actual person. But when that's excerpts from a private conversation, maybe the persona is what we see is what we get.
Unless, of course, you are fully expecting the tweets to be released. So it's still persona. Like, I mean, would Tucker Carlson ever think that this guy from CNN wouldn't use any information if he had it? I mean, would he honestly think that?
No, that's a good point.
So unless it's still persona, I'm not saying it is just persona, because Tucker Carlson seems to be, a scumbag of the highest order. But if there is persona in there, I mean, I don't know about you, Chewy, but I sometimes wonder when I'm emailing or messaging someone in this kind of media game we play, I kind of do it with the thought that one day, like I've messaged MPs, right? Yeah. I've messaged MPs, I've tweeted to MPs, that kind of, or sorry, not tweeted, but texted MPs. I always think, well, if someone was to OIO this MP's phone, my messages could be on there. So I do actually think about that, and I think about the stuff you're saying being made public. Now, Tucker Carlson should be thinking about that every fucking second of the day, about his information being made public, because anyone with a hint of anything would do that. So maybe, don't know.
That's fair, cool.
Let us say a couple of quick things to you, and as they say, Chewy, have a word from our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by bhnshop.nz. Yep, that's right. Big Hairy News has merch that enables you to both support what we do and allows you to voice your political opinions via the international medium of clothing. Head to bhnshop.nz for this month's drop of either If the Left Vote, the Left Wins, or Christopher Luxon, not a businessman, just a board member, with free delivery in New Zealand. This month's drop ends July 20th, so be quick and head to bhnshop.nz to make your order and support what we're doing to fight mis- and disinformation this election cycle. That's bhnshop.nz. Kia ora, welcome back. I'm just looking at the messages we were talking about yesterday from that, the Kuta school one that's going up. People are actually getting upset. Beautiful man that he is, Sasha Dillon, is currently in our Twitter feed explaining to people that we're using sarcasm and apologizing to people that it's upset them. I don't want people to be upset either. I think it's, I guess, what do you do? How much responsibility do you have for a joke, Chewy? You should be the one answering that question. People are getting upset by it. It's offensive. Māori have put up with enough. They've missed it. No, I'm not cracking down on this person.
It's just that whole thing, right? Is when it's written down, you lose all of that subtext, and you're kind of relying on people to kind of either guess that you're using heavy irony, or they know you, so they know that you are. And yeah, I can see these people have obviously sort of bounced around from conversation to conversation. They're like, fucking this again. I get that. But yeah, I kind of want to wade in and go, friendly fire.
We just say this again, that in the second part of the show, we're going to, and actually we don't have a lot more to talk about tonight. So the summary of the show will be kind of up to you guys, whether you want to carry it through or not, by visiting us on Discord. The link is in all the medias that we're on right now. It's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. And if you'd like to come and have a chat with us, you can. everybody who comes and has a chat with us tonight has a chance to win some of that merch you just saw. We'll give away a t-shirt of your choice to one person who comes and chats with us. And let's be honest, if no one wants to come and have a chat with us, shall we have an early night? That's kind of easy. We're not forcing you to. But if you want to come and have a chat, you might win yourself some merch as well. Put the link back in the chat windows of all those social medias. All you need to do is hop onto Discord right now, and when we give a chance for you guys to come through, we'll give you more details. If you already know how to do it, you can just head to the waiting room. If not, we can give you more details as we do it. And and really I was thinking we can talk about anything you want. Stuff from this week that's gone on. I'd be very interested to hear some of your opinions around the Labour tax policy. Maybe you want to tell us what's happening with Matariki, and you're welcome to absolutely do it there. Freestyle says I should be putting a wink face. Put a wink face after the tweet. That will make sense. I just thought putting, what are all these children doing here at 3 p.m. every day? I'm so confused would be enough of a hint, but it's probably that thing, Chewy. Like, I've heard people talk about getting road rage, and the reason people get road rage on some level is that when we're driving a car, even at 50 k's an hour around town, that's far, far faster than our DNA thinks we should be going. We're not evolved, designed, we haven't come from a place that goes, hey, 50 kilometers an hour is normal for our brain. So we're already kind of at an 8. Even if you're driving happily and comfortably, we're already at an 8. And so it doesn't take much for some to get turned into a 10. Whereas if you're just walking down the street and you're at a 1, it takes quite a long way to get to that 10. But if you're already at an 8, because you're doing 110 down a motorway and everything's already heightened, it doesn't take much. Maybe when you're on the internet, especially on Twitter at the moment, you're already at a 7. So someone sees a headline and they go straight to 9, like that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe like being on Twitter is like driving down the motorway, that you're already up at a 6 or a 7 or an 8 out of 10. So it doesn't take much to get you there, whether it's valid or not. Maybe it's as simple as that.
Look, I get angry because people don't know how to use escalators. So, the bar's pretty low for me.
I get angry when people misspell the word so. That's what pisses me off most of all. Let's have a look. This is more just kind of a public service announcement. Actually, I thought it might be interesting to see what's happening around the country with Matariki. Here's one of our silver foxes talking about what's happening tomorrow. New Zealand prepares to feast under the stars to mark Matariki.
Well, the hangi pits have been dug and the kai is ready to cook as people prepare to feast under the stars to mark the Māori New Year. This year's theme is Matariki kāinga hokia. Matariki calls you home, a message already resonating with many. Our Māori Affairs correspondent, Te Aniwa Hurihanganui, reports.
Before dawn,
love
they
digging
dig.
those pits. So
This
much.
hangi pit at Auckland's Bastion Point will soon be filled with kai.
It'll be gone.
Once cooked, it'll be transferred here and offered to the stars.
So it's not just a hangi and for people to eat and to nourish, it's actually offering to the gods, offering to the atua, so that they can ensure that we've got a good season and proper season for the Tauhou Māori, for the Māori New Year.
Hautapu ceremonies are a Matariki tradition observed by Māori for centuries.
It's a time for us to exalt Matariki, to farewell those who have passed, to welcome in the new year on our whenua, here at home.
In line with this year's theme, Matariki kāinga hokia encourages all New Zealanders to return to their homelands and be with whānau.
Being somewhere you love with the people you love and cherish so much, yeah, that's what home means.
So I'm going to be spending this weekend with my family, getting some good quality time in.
For me, yes, just about feeling connected where you are and the people around you.
The message is especially true for Te Waikamihi Ormsby, who's flown home from Australia.
Oh, nice.
On Monday night, and I've just been kind of spending time with myself, kind of preparing for what's coming on Friday.
She'll be among 6 women who'll recite karakia or prayers at this year's National Hautapu in Rotorua. One to represent each of the 6 female stars in the Matariki cluster.
We kind of grew up doing karakia, but not in a formal way. It was always tāne that would do karakia. Things are changing and there's a lot of duality happening.
Changes bringing a new beginning for a new year.
All right, let's take a look now how the country is celebrating, starting in Auckland, where Te Aniwa Hurihanganui is in the central city.
That looks
How
cool.
will Tamaki Makaurau be
Yeah,
celebrating,
that
Te
gate
Aniwa?
looks rad.
Yeah. I think must be Queen Street.
Simon, people can start by taking a stroll down Queen Street here
Yeah.
to see these magnificent Matariki-inspired waharoa or
Why would they ever take that down? I mean, honestly, that
No,
looks
never.
dope as
Never.
fuck.
Looks awesome.
gateways. They're a nod to our natural environment and our wildlife. The Auckland Harbour Bridge and
I particularly like how they've integrated the parking sign here on the right-hand side of the gateway. You know, that's a particularly good look that One News has managed to capture.
Silo Park will also be lit up for this very special public holiday, but nothing can quite beat the real deal for those wanting to see Matariki in the night sky. Auckland Council recommend viewing it from Bastion Point or Orewa Beach.
On to celebrate Matariki in the capital
Wellington,
too,
yep.
including Mana Moana behind me, where you can sit and enjoy a
Wow.
series of indigenous short films projected onto a water
They've got
screen.
that happening
and
down
if you
here,
want to learn a little bit
Pat,
more about
if
our
you haven't seen
culture
that
and
before.
history, there's also a colourful, big, immersive walk-through journey on Wellington's waterfront. No piki mai, no kake mai, he ngā rangi, oki oki, which means come on down and enjoy the sights this weekend.
Meanwhile, here in Christchurch, we have a great view of
Can we lay wagers? Are they going to have Dunedin, Chewy? Or Dunedin going to be left off?
No, we've fallen off the list.
Okay, we'll say.
the heavens. Tens of thousands of people have been coming down here to Victoria Square, where 20 different art installations, artworks, art projections have been put up, including many by local artists. The centrepiece being a 21-metre long illuminated tunnel. They're also expecting some live performances with a fire show tomorrow night. So come on down, bring yourself a woolly hat and a jumper and enjoy walking among the stars.
Ngā mihi, Thomas.
And in Dunedin, come get a decent pie at a shop around the corner.
No, there is a big event here planned down at the Steamer Basin. They did that for the first time, I think, last year, and it was rammed. People, families everywhere, food trucks. They did the Mana Moana display as well, which is where they use a spray of water to use as a projector screen. Very, very cool. I just want to highlight something. A couple of comments that Free Souls made, and it's very easy for people like us who are always online and always reading these things and diving into the comments to just absolutely lose faith. Free Soul says here, Radio New Zealand has closed comments after each Matariki post because the racists get inflamed. Pretty sad state of affairs. Contrast that with TV1, who let the comments go, and it's insane. So many vile people out there, but I bet they'll enjoy the day off. Now, when I say don't lose faith, go to these Matariki events and see how many people are fully engaged in it. They'll go down, they'll see those lighting installations, they'll watch those presentations, they'll be there with their kids. Like the people at the start of that interview who weren't obviously Māori, who were totally buying into this whole thing.
Of course.
The majority of people are digging this. The majority of people, no matter what their ethnic background, they like the incorporation of Māori culture into New Zealand identity. It belongs. So, yes, there's a very loud cohort of people, racists, that want to sound off, and they can just be miserable in their house while the rest of us go out and have some fun.
Yeah. All right. This is going to be the last time we're asking for this today, because we got one more story coming up, and then we'll see what you guys want to do. I kind of feel like throwing you the ball. A few people who don't know, this is our Discord, BHN Discord, and the link is in the. I'll put it in there one more time. The link is in the chat. I'm not even putting a thing. I'm just putting the link in right now. And if you want after the next story to come and have a chat with us, then all you need to do is cruise across here and get into this waiting room. And we can see you in the waiting room, and when we can see you in the waiting room, we can pick you up and we can say good day to you, and we can have a chat. If anyone wants to come and have a chat, if one person wants to come and have a chat, then you will win yourself a t-shirt from our July drop. If more than one person wants to come and have a chat, then someone will win a t-shirt from our July drop, and we'll get that sent out to you once they get printed in the last week of the month. So if you want to have a chat, now is the time to jump on Discord. Now is the time to get into the waiting room. And if you do that, then coming up after this story, we will have a bit of a chat with you. And if not, I guess Chewy will have a bit of an earlier night, shan't we? Which is most unlike us, but that's sort of how we roll. So I was going to almost say discord.com. It's not. It's whatever the link is for discord.gg.xp, That's in all the chats. And if If you want to get into that waiting room, we can have a chat with you next. But let's wrap up the kind of newsy conversational part of this. This is a story that Newshub Nation has been working on. I was a bit confused as to how this has come out because Newshub Nation is in the weekend, but it was released today. I don't know whether this was from the weekend just gone or this is an ongoing investigation and this is a teaser for what's coming up. So Māori have been disproportionately charged for cannabis under discretionary laws. So there are laws that have been made, the story talks about a little bit, where basically low-level cannabis use there is now discretion for the police not to charge people under it. What's happening though is that Māori are disproportionately being charged. So in other words, the argument that's been put forward is that police are choosing to let go non-Māori and charge Māori for cannabis. This is a story, and this is not necessarily as black and white as what I've just painted it, because these are green fairies. And if you don't know what green fairies are people who grow cannabis themselves, special strains, like there's a strain called Charlotte's Web, who get used for medicinal purposes. It's lower THC or almost no THC, and it helps people with pain, it helps people with that. But green fairies technically are doing something illegal because you're not allowed to sell and produce cannabis, because for some reason we decided not to when we had a chance to say yes to it. So these guys are green fairies. That term's not used in the story, but I'm explaining what it is. And so they're not just a low-level user, they're a supplier and stuff as well. However, the story that Newshub Nation is investigating is still how the stats are showing that Māori are disproportionately charged. Let's have a look at what they've had to say.
A drugs bust in small town New Zealand.
They knocked on the door. Was all hers. They took her pretty straight away to the police station, seized both our...
This is all hers. This, meaning all of the cannabis. This is all hers.
Cell phones. I sat here for hours while they went through the house.
Last September, Gary and Mel's lives changed.
It's broken me a bit. I have sleepless nights. I haven't slept very well for almost a year since this actually happened. Just the fact that I feel violated, destroyed inside.
I lost my job because of this. They come in, it just makes everything look like the light shine on you, you are the baddies. You're the baddies in this little town, when in actual fact, I can assure you, we are far from that.
Like these things so often are, Gary and Mel's situation is complicated. The police raid targeted their illicit cannabis operation. Mel says she was growing cannabis for herself and to supply friends with health issues. Now she's facing multiple drugs charges. Gary, who has previous cannabis convictions, has also been charged, though he says this time none of the plants were his. In fact, he has a prescription to access medicinal cannabis legitimately. And how did you feel when you found out that you were going to be facing those charges?
Sick. Full of grief. Just at my wit's end.
In 2019, a law change was introduced to deal with the deadly synthetics crisis.
The current approach has not been keeping Kiwis safe, so we're not going to continue with it.
The changes formalise police discretion, essentially decriminalising low-level drug use. A health-based approach was in, criminalising drug users was out.
You also, being fair here, I think that it should be decriminalised and legalised anyway. It's not a problem, but these guys aren't low-level users. They're growers and suppliers. So we just got to make sure that that's not entirely what they're talking about here. It doesn't take away from the fact about, should they be getting bothered at all. But, it's fair to be accurate, at least be accurate in the story.
Or so it seemed. But even back then, experts warned that police discretion might not be applied equally.
So this reform that's going to be put in place, we have to make sure it's evenly applied.
For some people, the secondary harm of a drug charge is worse than the drug charge itself.
The arrests, the prosecutions are just so out of whack with the way they should be. And in fact, I've started to look at it as a form of racism.
4 years on, those fears have played out. New figures show that last year more than 1,000 people were convicted for cannabis use or possession, 49% of them Māori. While the overall number of people prosecuted for cannabis possession has been dropping, the proportion of Māori is on the rise. And for the first time, the actual number of Māori convicted has overtaken Pākehā. The charges Gary and Mel face go beyond just possession and use, but they question why they were raided when others, some with larger operations, have been passed over by police.
It needs to be sorted.
Why do you think they decided to target you two?
They seem to just have this idea that we are going to be in that kind of world where drugs are part of our culture.
The head of the Drug Foundation says blame for the increasing inequity sits with all parts of the justice sector, not just police. You're Ngai Tahu.
Hi.
How does it make you feel when you see these statistics?
Very depressed. We work with Indigenous people around the world, and it's the same story in pretty much every country. So we're getting it wrong. We're getting it wrong for Māori in particular. We're getting it wrong for everyone. We can do better. If we try and do better for Māori and we try and do better, we will end up doing better for everyone, essentially.
We wanted to ask those in charge whether the law is working as intended. Instead, we were given ringside seats to a game of pass the hot potato. The Justice Minister said responsibility for this law sits with the Health Minister. The Health Minister referred us to the Police Minister. The Police Minister told us she couldn't comment on operational matters. All roads lead to police, but our multiple requests for interviews were denied. Instead, police provided this written statement saying they are committed to improving outcomes for Māori and that there is no evidence to suggest that Māori receive a higher proportion of drug prosecutions than other ethnic groups. However, this is contradicted by the government's own data, which shows Māori make up 45% of these types of charges, but just 17% of our general population. Since the failed cannabis referendum, it seems no one wants to touch the issue of drug reform. Green MP Chloe Swarbrick was one of the politicians who fronted the push for greater discretion. So, does she take some responsibility?
I was really clear in 2019 that what the Greens were fighting for was decriminalisation. I have said for the past 5 years that the Misuse of Drugs Act is abhorrent.
Swarbrick says these outcomes were entirely predictable.
If you are enabling discretion, you are potentially going to open the door to the human element of potential discrimination.
4 years on, it's up to politicians to sort it out.
Many politicians are on the record admitting to using illicit substances back in the mists of time, but they now oversee laws which penalise, prosecute and ruin the lives of people who are doing exactly the same things that they once did.
Meanwhile, people are suffering, and that's the opposite of what this law change intended.
Yeah, I think for me it's, we've put our faces on national TV to expose what's happening to small guys like us. It's going to impact in terms of employment because now people know who I am, will see this face and they are going to judge.
There you go, Chewy. That's the story. And I'd like to still see stats and stuff to figure it out, but I'm assuming that because cannabis is pretty much a fairly common usage, something like 70% of all New Zealanders have tried it by the time they're 30 or something, or used it. And I don't suspect that Māori disproportionately use it. It'd be good to know that, because if they don't disproportionately use it, then obviously a disproportionate conviction is completely off the books. If a person or people group or whatever, was 90%, like 95% of people in New Zealand are vaccinated, whatever it is. So therefore, the results are going to skew to a certain way because of that. But I don't understand any research that shows a disproportionate amount of use in cannabis to any one people group, as I understand it at least.
Yeah. What a sadly completely predictable outcome.
Yeah.
I think when people were talking about, police can use their discretion and that sort of thing, they're talking about, someone, stopped in town smoking weed and the cops can go, that's not worth my time. Which was always like the cop will only catch you if he thinks it's worth his time, right? But it doesn't apply to these guys because they were growers. But I hardly think we saw the masterminds of a massive multi-million-dollar drug pushing operation there.
Yeah.
No,
I agree. And the point I was just making, not to defend what's going on, is that The people that they were talking about, police discretion for low-level users. That wasn't the couple they were showing. Now, I don't think the couple they were showing should be suffering those effects either. But you know me. Sometimes to my detriment, I always try and at least be fair and accurate. And the accuracy is they are not low-level users. They are growers that supply people who are in need because of health issues. They're basically angels. In fact, they're green fairies, to be precise. But just to be accurate, that's all.
I think if you say to the average person, a drug dealer or a drug grower, your mind immediately goes to the gangs, right? Because that's traditionally who's doing it. But there's a hell of a lot of people that, they're doing something illegal, but I would say that they're not doing something criminal. The level that they're operating and the reasons that they're operating are just completely different.
Yeah,
but also it makes them an easy target, right?
Yeah.
Because if you get some sort of thing from down the command chain that says, oh, you've got to go out and take care of some drug dealers, well, probably everyone in that town knows what those guys are up to. It wouldn't take much police intelligence to go, well, there's an easy bag. We'll just go and get that. And then we've got a conviction. Bing, bang, boom. We don't even have to fight with gangs.
And let's be honest, maybe not to the extent of cannabis, but we all do things probably every day that are illegal, but not necessarily criminal. Or they could be illegal and criminal. We don't get charged with it doing 60 in a 50 zone. We all break the law every single day and don't get charged for it, pretty much. Might not be
every
serious,
time,
but... Sorry, you go, bro.
Oh, every time we've looked at convictions and who goes to court and the sort of punishments they get in court, we have so much data that says that Māori get pinched on this stuff more proportion, completely out of proportion. They get stiffer sentences as well. We know this. So if something is like, oh yeah, we'll sort it out with discretionary, we know it's going to fall harder on Māori.
Yeah.
So predictable.
Yep. No, always does. Okay. So we're going to have a chat with our man shortly over on Discord. Now, I guess I should probably say quite quickly, hoping it all works properly, because, sometimes it doesn't. But that's what we're going to do in a minute, and I've just put once again in the chat if anyone else wants to come and have a chat. Now is the time. We'd like to do this most Thursdays, actually, give you guys a chance to come and have a chat. Both of me and Chewy have worked in broadcasting, kind of stretching our talkback muscles again to see if you want to have a talk and hub a huge and what's your favorite t-shirt. And the other thing is, I thought about doing people around the world on the internet, they do an AMA and ask me anything. If you guys have got questions and stuff you want to know as well, more than happy to take your thoughts. So if you want to jump on, if you want to say good day, you can do that now. If you don't, we'll go talk to RR Man, and then we'll wrap up for the night and say see you on Monday. So Discord link is in the chat. If you want to come and have a chat, get in there, head across to the waiting room. Let's see if this works, shall we? And say hello to RR Man. Are you there, RR Man?
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we got you, man. What's going on?
Hello.
Hey, I just wanted to have a quick chat about this tax policy from Labor.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm not sure if this is all of it, because I thought they were going to release something more in the future. But if this is it, this can't be it, surely.
I think probably what you've got is the first announcement, and the announcement is just
well, that's what I'm hoping.
No CGT and no wealth tax. It doesn't mean there's not going to be other tax announcements in the lead up to the election.
Yeah, it's good. Well, because I do wonder if if Hipkins was just off the cuff, just said it out loud, or to one of the interviews. And I'm not really, was that how it went down?
I would be very surprised if it was off the cuff. I mean, for a politician to do that as a leader and say I'm making a carte blanche decision today, that would be pretty, pardon the pun, but piss poor politics.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, Chewy?
I would love to see the interview where he said it. I mean, obviously he's over in Europe at the moment for the NATO summit, so I don't even know how it came up.
Well,
but yeah, if it's off the cuff, it's one of the dumbest shoot from the hip moments ever. This is just not like, if it's not off the cuff, it's just regular dumb.
Yep. I don't think RR Man can hear you, Chewy, but the rest of us got that. Can you hear Chewy, RR Man?
No, I can't, sorry.
Yeah, I think he just said it was dumb. It was off the cliff. We did wonder that before we came on, Chewy, if people would pick up what was going through. I mean, if you want to have a chat with, I mean, mind you, there's probably just RR Man to have a chat, and it doesn't look like anyone else in the waiting room. If other people were going to jump in the waiting room, Chewy, we might just tell you to get into Discord as well, so we can all have a chat together. What do you think? Are you prepared to share with us, RR Man, where your kind of voting head is, where you're thinking, where you would like to go?
Yeah, I actually did want to mention that. I was Chewy before, saying he's going to jump to Greens. I assumed he was going to do Greens to begin with, to be honest. But I was going to say you don't have to jump straight to the left. You could go to the centre and go to top. I know that you, Pat, aren't a big fan of it.
No. Let's be fair. I actually, I'm not. It's not that I'm not a fan of top. Is that I'm not going to vote for a party who's already said they're going to sit across the benches. That's all it is. It's actually not to do with top. I actually quite like some of the stuff I heard from top, but if I vote for a party that can sit across the benches, then that might help get the right wing government in, and that's what I can't do. So it's actually got nothing to do with top. It's got to do with the decision they've made to sit cross benches. That's all it's got to do with.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I've just always seen it. If National is going to get in, it'd be nice to have something there to balance them out. So that's just sort of how I always thought about it. If top could get in there and have just a tiny little say, it might be kind of nice.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. I just don't. Yeah. Like, I mean, I've been very clear. I interviewed the leader of top, and I like a lot of his ideas. And every time I mention an idea, I tend to get a message in the text going, "That sounds like a top policy." But I just. It's if I'm not going to have a partner that could help the side I want to run the country get in, then I'm not going to vote for them. It's strategic. That's all it is. So that means for me at the moment, and to be honest, the Māori Party, that could be the Māori Party as well. They could very easily declare that they were going to sit cross benches, and if that was it, then they'd be out of my voting realm as well. But at the moment, I guess. For me, my voting triangle is, Greens, Māori Party, Labour, not necessarily in that order. But as I said last night, after what they announced yesterday, Labour is definitely at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, same here, unfortunately. And I'm in Chris Hipkins' electorate, and he might actually lose my electorate vote as well.
Wow. Well, that doesn't matter so much. It's only all that really matters is the party vote. That decides how many MPs there are. So.
That's the one. Hey, thanks for letting me in here. If Chewy's, I was going to have you mentioned ask me anything. I'll just ask Chewy what his favourite Star Wars movie is.
Chewy, what's your favourite Star Wars movie?
Rogue One.
Rogue One was the answer. There are man. So you've got it.
Oh, that's awesome. There's definitely a lot of people hate that one, but it's quite good.
All right, mate. All right. Thanks so much for jumping in and having a chat. And that's how it works, Chewy. That's how the Discord works. I quite like it, eh? It could be something that we do more often. Oh, that means RR Man has also just got himself a T-shirt because he's the only one we're going to talk to tonight. So, no, hang on, we've got Angus has just jumped in as well. So, should we? Do you want to jump into Discord, Chewy? I mean, if you want to interact with Angus, because they can't hear you through the system, we'll have to get Jason to come around and make sure we work this out properly. But if you want to basically turn all your mics off in here in StreamYard and jump into Discord, we should be able to hear you there. And if it ends up that you're feeding back, Chewy, then you can just go into remove yourself from StreamYard. Just take yourself out into the green room, and then we shouldn't be able to hear you at all, only in Discord. So if you jump in there and get into the live thing yourself, and we'll give this another go. Angus, are you with us? Hello, Angus. Hello, Chewy.
Hello.
Yeah, so you're in there, and Angus I've dragged across. Angus, you might have your mic turned off or something, but we've got you there if you want. So now I'm talking to you, Chewy, in Discord, not through the other software, which is kind of bizarre. Just say hello to us, Chewy. I want to see if there's a delay.
Oh, hello.
I know, it seems to work pretty well.
So I get a bit of echo of myself back in my ears.
You're actually perfectly good on this side. What about you, Angus? Are you available? We've got you in the live chat, but we can't hear you. So if you're there, then you need to do something with your mic, or you need to do something to have a bit of a chat. Are you out, Chewy, for Labour? Do you think you're actually out, or are you bottom of the pile? We'll see what happens.
I think Angus pegged me quite well. I mean, hang
on. Angus has been pegging you? Is this breaking news?
I'm very confused about what's going on now.
Okay.
I withdraw and retract.
Okay. No. Sorry.
I think I've always thought of myself as a Labour supporter who votes Green because I like to drag everything to the left.
Right.
But I think this is like, I'm a Green supporter this election, like 100%.
Yeah, I mean, probably, obviously, at the moment, I'd probably be going Māori Party or Green and leaning towards Green as well. And I've never really had a party. I've never really, no matter how many of the simps on the right want to say that we're Labour shills, I've never had a loyalty to any party, but I've had a loyalty to a political position. And that's where it's been. Last chance, Angus. We've got you over in the live call-in. You there? You with us? Or else we'll just wrap it up and move on. A 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, a 1, and that'll be us.
Okay.
Hang on. The mic's off. It's muted. If I turn your mic on, will that matter, Angus? Because it says that you're muted, but I can't turn you on. So
Hey.
You see?
Hey.
It's muted. No, your mic's muted, Angus. So, all right, we're going to drag you out of that room, Angus. Maybe try again next time. Sometimes these things happen. All right, Chewy, let's wrap up the week's thing. We'll just have a bit of. Is there anything in the chat we want to get out there? And we'll give some people more of a chance to get back in if they want to. I guess you're going back into StreamYard, are you? Is that what you've done?
Yes, yeah, I'm out of StreamYard now.
That worked though. If we do this in the future, we can you can be in StreamYard as well, and we can continue on that. So that kind of works. All right. Anything in the chat we want to get to?
Yep. Well, you asked what people are doing for Matariki. JB here says, I'm going to a Matariki Margariti party, which I assume is margaritas, but it could also be the pizza. You could get all three things going.
Yeah,
that would be really good. V Bunch points out that Te Pāti Māori wants a coalition with Labour tonight on the news. So is that the first time that they've mentioned that?
Not sure. I think that when I spoke to Debbie last time, she hadn't. That wasn't a position. They definitely ruled out National, because they ruled out National, and then National ruled them out. It was a bit like, no, I broke up with you. You didn't break up with me. I broke up with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe. And look, you could also remember, supplying confidence is something else that sometimes these parties use. So you could have a coalition between Te Pāti Māori and the Labour Party with supplying confidence from the Greens. Now that means the Greens don't have to say, the Greens can say, we're not part of this government, but we're going to give them supplying confidence. That means they'll always be able to pass bills. That could be a very realistic other thing that happens, especially if they say, for us, the capital gains tax is a bottom line. Therefore, we're not going to be a part of this government. We'll give them supplying confidence. I also thought, Chewy, maybe what they could do is they could give up one, because I don't know if this is correct. We should look at the wording. But if Hipkins said capital gains tax and wealth tax will not be a tax we introduce as leader, that means he could do one or the other. Because if he said and, that means it's both. Oh, that could be a negotiating point. Okay, Hipkins, you can pick one, says the Greens. Is it going to be either or? Because you did say and, which means like chicken and chips won't be on the menu. Chicken is, and chips are, but chicken and chips aren't on the menu. I don't know. Just my devious brain working that maybe they could find a middle ground.
Guru here says that this is maybe this is Te Pāti Māori picking their moment, that if Greens are saying, well, maybe we aren't your coalition partner anymore, that gives a lot more weight to Te Pāti Māori getting some key bits of policy across for them.
I also wonder if it's a really clever plan they've done, because if now all of us are going, what the fuck, Labour, where are we going to vote for? Well, and I'm saying this is not necessarily me, but if some people are going, well, I can't vote for the Greens because that's their bottom line, and if that's their bottom line, they can't be in coalition, and they've just heard, well, Te Pāti Māori can be in coalition, so maybe Te Pāti Māori is doing it quite consciously as a, well, if the Greens aren't going to get on board, then we will vote for us. Could be.
Yep, absolutely. Couple of comments about tax policy here. V Bunch saying, I think they'll change all the tax brackets. Basically coming off a conversation that we haven't heard all of their tax policy yet.
Yeah.
That this is just the here's a little sneak preview. It's a plate full of dog shit. We'll tell you more later. I think that's almost a definite, I would say, that they are going to have a tax-free threshold. I think everybody agrees that that's a good idea. And RSJK says,
when we work that out when we worked that out using the Australian numbers, it was only using the Australian numbers, and I've got the graph somewhere. The crossover point was about $80,000. So in other words, everyone under $80,000 would be better off. Everyone over $80,000 would pay small incremental bits more tax. It would be very easy to make it 100,000. Like you wouldn't have to do like I think I increased based on the Australian numbers the tax rate by like 2 or 3% for the other bands. If you rather than 3%, if it was increased by 2.6%, it means the crossover point would go up by several $1,000s. So it wouldn't be hard to, because I think the average wage might be like, is it 80, 70, 80, 90, $90,000 now or something? The average salary?
God, is it?
I think it might be. I could be wrong with that. But it'd be very easy to find what the average salary is and then add another 10 grand on and then make that the tipping point. You could manipulate that very easily.
Yeah.
Because what it would mean is everyone who was in the lower side of the average would be better off, and everyone who was on the upper side of the average would pay a teeny smidge bit more.
Simon here says the Opportunity Party is doing the same sort of thing the Green Party would have been doing in 1999, building their party up before going into any form of government.
Yeah. Look, again, no criticism of Top. I quite like them. I have love in my heart for them. Is that the right thing? I have no hate in my heart for them, that's for sure. I'm just strategically looking that if someone's going to sit across the benches, that could open the door for a Luxon-led government, and I'm not going to put my vote in something that could lead there. I'm going to put my vote in a place which is going to guarantee the best possible chance of the government I want to see, and that's not giving someone a space to sit cross benches. That's all it is. It's honestly all it is. If they had said, if Top had have said, we will go into coalition with the bloc with the most votes, either way, like even if they sit in the middle, bloc with the most votes, they'd be an option for me. Now, the concern would be that if they are the balance of power, they could also go with right, but they would still be an option. To say we are going to sit cross benches, they are not an option for me. That's it. There's no deeper than that for me.
Yeah, no, fair enough. What
Vicky
else?
says the average wage is 70k right now. So actually, an 80k tipping point seems about right then. So those numbers off Australia, an 80k tipping point's about right.
DIY Guru here says 20% Green to Party Māori slice of the vote gives them huge power negotiating a capital gains tax or wealth tax with Labour. And I mean, this is kind of what I was saying last night, is like making a sweeping statement like that out of his pocket. Chris Hipkins has just painted himself into a corner.
Yeah.
Like he's given himself no options.
Yeah.
Like nobody was anybody really asking him that? I don't think anybody was, because they knew that something was coming.
I wonder though, Chewy, there was a report released yesterday that showed that they were talking about it in the lead up to the last budget, and that report came out yesterday. So if they hadn't have got ahead of that report, then the narrative would have been, they've been talking about it, they're going to do it. So I actually think the likely scenario is Hipkins had to say it yesterday, because if he hadn't have said it, the report would have come out saying that they were talking about it, and National would have said, see, they're bringing it in. So I think that's probably why it came out yesterday.
No, I agree.
Righty. Okay, guys, it's a Thursday night. It's the last show of the week. We are going to sign off for the night shortly. Want to say again, thank you. Oh, and also RR, who we were just talking to before. You are the winner of the Big Hairy News T-shirt. So why don't you just message me via Twitter. You can DM me. My DMs are open, as all the Instastar girls say. And also you can just get us through Facebook as well. It's an easy way to get a hold of us. Give us your details and tell us what you want, what size you want, and that kind of stuff, and we'll get it sent out to you when they get printed, just like that. Also, huge thanks to all of our patrons. We love you guys to bits. I know I talked about having a meetup this weekend. It hasn't worked. We'll definitely do one next weekend. So if you want to be a part of what we do, patreon.com/Big Hairy News. And again, thank you to Pat Sellers, who upped their, I don't know if Pat's a male or female, so I'll use the pronoun there, his or her, patronage from patron to super patron. And as we've always said, if you become a patron on this show, you become 22% happier immediately.
It's actually a 20% longer weekend.
Oh, it's Adam. Adam T is RR, man. Adam. Adam, message us and we'll sort you out a T-shirt, mate. That's how we're going to do. 22% longer weekend, did you say, Chewy? We should have done like a Matariki special, shouldn't we? I don't know what that means.
Isn't that this?
That is this. That is this. And for those of you who are still interested, you've got a week to have a look at the July drop, the July merch drop. Super simple by heading to bhnstore.nz. Literally every single t-shirt makes our jobs a little bit easier, because it does. We make money on every single t-shirt. Helps pay for a few things, helps pay for our internet, helps pay for our streaming software, all that kind of thing as well. And it also gives you an opportunity to wear your political allegiances on your chest, and your political commentary allegiances on your backs. We've got your back. Hey, that's not a bad one. We've got your back. BHN on
me.
Back. And yes, next month there will be a BHN, some BHN merch itself coming out as well. I've had some messages from people, including someone who said with their job they're not allowed to wear political slogans. So lots of people have said that. So there will be some form of BHN merch out next week, and we will do something to acknowledge it's the first run of those, because they may stick around. Like we'll get an OG put on the back corner, so you can be an original gangster from the BHN, whatever that is, an OB, original beardy, something like that. Maybe for the first 3 months we'll put an OB on the back of it, and everyone knows they're an original beardy, and we'll do that. So is there anything else, Chewy? Anything else you want to get? Look, there's lots of happy Matariki in the text. It's funny, eh? We don't get all the racist comments coming through. We get lovely, enlightened
we've just
people.
got good people. That's why we attract your vibe attracts your tribe, and we've got a big tribe. Like and subscribe. Do as you're told. That's it.
Have a great weekend. Go the All Blacks. Got to say, this is a silly thing to say, but I think his surname's Exbeth, the captain of the South African rugby team. Father passed away this morning, so very sad to hear that for him, having some experience. And so the game doesn't really matter when your dad's just died, but he may be heading back to South Africa and not participate in the game, or he may play in the game and it might be a massive tribute to his dad, and that means the All Blacks are going to lose this weekend because the captain of South Africa and this whole team will gather around him for his dad. So either way, thoughts and prayers. Is that what you say? Something like that? Thoughts and prayers? I don't know.
That phrase is forever poisoned for me, unfortunately, but yeah.
Vibes,
I don't know.
Vibes and tribes? Is that what we say?
Vibes and tribes.
Vibes and tribes. All right, team. It's been a fantastic week. Thank you very much for being with us this week. Thank you for the grace to give us some time off on Monday and being good about it to us all. And we will catch you next Monday night from 9 p.m. for another edition of Big Hairy News. Make sure you follow both me and Chewy on Twitter. Over the weekend there'll be a bunch of clips and stuff coming out. You'll be able to share them around, and if you want to support us in that way as well, then what you can do is share our shit, tell people about us, and bring a friend on Monday night. Bring a friend. That's it.
Bring
That's
a friend for show and tell.
Bring a friend for show and tell.
My name
9
is
p.m.
Chewy,
Monday.
and this is my friend Gavin. Hi, Gavin.
All right, team. We'll see you Monday night. Bring a friend, and we'll have a good weekend. Have a good day off tomorrow. Catch you all. Hooroo.
Cheers, folks.